This looks like a good view. I am Rick Harsh, author of The Manifold Destiny. Well, here's a bunch of my books up here. See, The Manifold Destiny of Eddie Vegas, Walk Like a Duck. Just about all of them up here on this row. And most of them are published by Corona Samizdat, which has also published many other great books. Most recently, the most exciting one has been sold, so I gotta find it. Here it is. All right. This is America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots by Philip Friedenberg. This thing will probably be one of the top 5 books of the 21st century. It's got that the same sort of unrestrainable allure as Infinite Jest did. You know, where people don't care what you're calling that book; they want it. You know, it's a maximalist postmodern meta trifecta. Okay, I'll take it if that's what you want to call it. I call it the Cactus Book, but it's really I'm a little brazen in reminding people again and again that before I had read even any pages, but just a few 5 short bits of it that were sent by the author, I was already saying this will be the best book I ever publish. And I'm not saying a lot because we've published a lot of great books, but that is enormo. Some people in history, eventually people are going to figure out, they know that The Manifold Destiny of Eddie Vegas is a very good, if not great, maximalist novel. And they're going to say, people are going to find out that this is great stuff too. So that's who I am. I'm just reminding you because my coach, everyone who reads it must converse, Noah, said, not everybody knows who you are. You got to tell them once in a while who you are. Well, I'm the guy who started the press, Corona Samizdat, and the books don't fit anymore. Damn it all. But I also do book reviews, and this has got the longest opening of any book review, and it's only part 1. I decided the way things are going, I don't want to read the book that I'm reviewing too fast, and then I've gotten a lot of non-press work. I don't have time to write my own stuff. I have to do a lot of editing to make a living right now, and I went on a 1-day vacation. I admit it. But the book that I'm going to review in 2 parts is coming out on the 9th or 10th, I can't remember, and I want to get it in before then, and I don't want to rush. I am on page 192 out of about 300, and as a fiction writer and a reader of mostly fiction and history, it's probably a surprise to anyone who gives a shit that I am reading a mystical practical guide to magic, which is instructions for seekers, witches, and other spiritual misfits. The important thing to take away from that, aside from the subject matter, about which everybody's got preconceptions, which is hardly the point, but it is something to keep in your mind. Because some people will be thinking, Rick, what's happened with you? Have you gone crazy, boy? Well, I'm starting to go crazy, if that's the way you're thinking. But the book is for seekers, witches, and other spiritual misfits who would like an introduction to. Let me go to the table of contents. They would like tarot, astrology, this one's kind of hard to classify. The section is called The Invisible World, but they're talking about the accident. There's titles like The Accidental Medium, Spirit Guides, How to Talk to the Dead, Falling in Love with Santa Muerte, which is the most fun, and I'll tell you why in a second. Real Life Magic, and that's where I am right now. But I'm about to get to Ritual and Moon, Pluto, Magic, and and I think I could have finished if Ritual. I would read Ritual in the same way I've read the rest of it. Trying to pay my respects to the author while making comparisons to what I'm familiar with in non-Judeo-Christian religions. I've read a great deal about Hinduism and the foundations of Buddhism, which were the foundations of Hinduism or Hinduism, depending on how you look at it. And I say Judeo-Christian, but this was written by a Jewish witch, self-proclaimed Jewish witch, but she grew up Jewish in the Jewish faith, and when she became a witch, she became a Jewish witch. Now, a lot of you are going to be saying, "Oh, I know about the Kabbalah," but do you? I don't know. I think this is also it's a book. I think from her perspective, Eliza Einhorn is the author. She's a poet, and an extremely good poet that I'm trying to get to compile poems for my press. This is part of the connection and why I'm reading the book. But I'm not reading the book as a favor to Eliza. I'm getting this out as the kind of favor you do for anyone who's putting out a book. But so that's why I'm putting out part one now, because I can, and I've read everything up till now. But I'm reading slowly because it's the kind of book, an introduction to something I'm not necessarily always interested in beyond finding out what I already think I know, and from her straightforward instructions, for the most part, I find out that there's a hell of a lot I don't know about, say, astrology, and but I know that I'm not going to spend the time to go deeply into astrology, or that's what I think right now. But so anyway, I'll get one thing out of the way first. I can see that if you are a seeker, a witch, or another spiritual misfit who would pick up this book to see, what's in it, this is definitely what they call a 5-star book on Goodreads. Definitely. The writing is extremely clear. The structure is very, very simple on the surface. Underneath, it's sly. You get stories. The problem I have with saying Judeo-Christian is, she's not so often, but often enough, she'll use something, from the Jewish tradition to explain something she wants to explain in here. And another thing that I know that is happening is that it's building. It's building up. You start with in this book with the tarot, and tarot is easy to be interested in because you get a whole deck of cards if you are. And we have a game here called Briscola. My Briscola deck, I don't know where it is. But it's an Italian game, or as far as I know. And the deck has 4 suits, like this has 4, I'm not sure what yet, and they're the same, basically. But somewhere in there, Taro got some really unique characters like the Fool, which is the only one I've looked at, and the Hermit. She's mentioned a few in here and actually given a little bit about them, but not in the tarot section, if I recall. Which is one of the things I like a book that surprises me, and you don't expect a book like this to surprise you so much as instruct you, but it's done both. Now, about the author, Eliza, I'm going to just go through what I underlined for now and then see what comes out. She fell in love with astrology 20 years ago, and it changed her life. I I was hoping that would be a grand story, but I don't. It still might be because she's mentioned it. She mentioned it once, and it was just very quick. You know that she saw an astrologer who immediately noted something that was dead on, and and then she said a little bit more about that later. So maybe, given that you never know what's going to happen, maybe it'll come out later. But anyway, about the way the book is building, because she's doing something surprising all the time, I can't assume anything and just say I don't need to read that. And so, if she ends this with a section called Moon Pluto, Moon Pluto Magic. Um, I, Moon Pluto seems like that's an astrological term, I think. I'm guessing. Um, but it's very specific. And those are the things about real astrology as opposed to newspaper astrology that one would be interested in if one took another step and started to study it. Oh, that leads to, why do I care? I mean, isn't that all bullshit? Huh? Well, I'll tell you what. I know a lot of arguments against belief in everything, because I pretty much don't believe in anything. But I am so discouraged by the human race, and by I think that the definitive moment in the decline of the planet was when us two-legged, big-brained, overbrained, too talkative monkeys got Cartesian. And I think there's a book I got. Let's make a plug for a book in the middle of Elise's. Where are you? It's not here. Well, Joao Hayes' extraordinarily funny and fun book, Bedraggling Grandma with Russian Snow. There's enough photos out there anyway. But I just, read that, and I believe he's saying the same thing that I've long believed. And I don't know where to put the line, if it's Cartesian thought or whatever, but rational thought has destroyed the universe. The novel I'm working on right now is about, it'll be a big one, but it's about colonialism in India, and much about why and what it did, and to what kind of people it did it to. I think monkeys. I think a lot about monkeys and what they would think, because they're pretty clever, and I think monkeys would find white people despicable, but I think they would find what do we call Indians? The range, the Aryan. Oh, it's so fucking confusing. Okay, but you've got a wide range of Indians, and I think they would find, particularly the Irula tribe in southern India and maybe other forest tribes, they would find them companionable, you know. And I think the Irula would find the monkeys companionable. I don't think monkeys would shit and throw it at an Irula, for instance. And they wouldn't shit and throw it at this either. But they would probably shit and throw it at Kant, Descartes, Wittgenstein, maybe? Maybe? What about you, Vitty? What are you on the ape human continuum? I'm with the apes. So back to uh, this, I haven't left it. What I'm saying is that at a time when I'm deeply, deeply fed up and about to take off in a novel on something that begins with the Portuguese um, intruding on a beautiful land. And, I'm not making political arguments here, so fuck off if you're going to start talking about, oh yeah, like India was paradise. Well, compared to what it is today, yes. Compared to what the United States was, yes. Compared to what London soon became, yes. Compared to Portugal under Salazar, yes, yes, yes. And the Europeans totally fucked it. And just like the Europeans fucked the United States by becoming the United States, and so on. So with that kind of thing going on, which is very real to me and it really matters to me, a man who loves ants and flies and mosquitoes. I love mosquitoes, and I trust them here. But in India, there's sometimes you have to keep them at bay. I try to use stuff that'll just prevent them from landing on me, But if I have to kill them, I will. It's it's not their fault. Maybe it is mine. I don't know, but so why am I interested? Well, and then that is written by a poet, Eliza Einhorn, who I knew at the Iowa Writers Workshop, and I of course didn't have any ideas about her spirituality. Maybe I knew she was Jewish. I don't know. Don't remember that. I just remember we had we had a period where we saw each other a lot and talked a lot. She was fun to talk with. And then I find out all these years later she's a witch. And a book is coming out. And so I wanted it immediately because it's a good time for me to openly look at this. Now, I'm not sure how good a job I'll do on the book, but I'll just tell you, my experience with the book as I've already described my approach to it. Curiosity and the need for curiosity about what we dismiss as nonsense. Which is generally what strikes us as non-rational. But the first thing I underlined was, besides the autobiographical part, is like the fool card in the tarot, the tarot, who is always starting over. And what she had written before that, my hope is that this book will inspire you to dig into your own personal collection, excavate it. And by collection, she's talking about whatever is important to you, including basically whatever's important to you, which may be a tarot deck, But none of the things I mentioned here, astrology, tarot, talking to the dead, to name just three, belong to any particular faith or religion or tradition. They belong to us all. My hope is that this book will inspire you to dig into your own personal collection, excavate it, no matter how ancient it is, no matter how seemingly forgotten, and that you head out on your own spiritual trip to the great wide open and beyond, like the Fool card in the tarot, who is always starting over. That I just love the Fool card. But again, as you can see, this is not written for skeptics. I am a skeptic, but in this case, the skepticism is not part of the reading. I'm not thinking about, I'm not examining this and saying, that's interesting, I might believe that. Or, well, nonsense, we've gone beyond that. Like, astrology is probably the one that is the most looked down upon. But, partly that's because of, things like going to Chinese restaurants and looking at the same goddamn, placemat. I'm Year of the Pig, I'm Year of the Pig. They should have put some. I got an idea for an I Ching thing that would just make millions if someone would go along with me on it. An I Ching placemat, and inside the fortune cookie would be your hexagram. Oh well, if you don't know what I'm talking about, look into it. The I Ching is fantastic. Astrology is the art of understanding and is, without question, the best metaphysical means for understanding yourself, other people, and your life's purpose. So this book is written for people who are, it's not written for skeptics. That's why I underlined that. I wanted to, point out, and that's true throughout. She never says anything about people who might not believe, as far as I know. It's not trying to bring anyone into the fold or anything like that, or to convince anyone of anything. There's this, okay, welcome to Tarot Town, starting with tarot. I wrote Touch of Evil MD, Marlene Dietrich, and because when I think of tarot, I think of Marlene Dietrich as the Mexican gypsy in Touch of Evil, and and the paragraph starts. There's this Hollywood image that I love: the kerchiefed fortune teller sitting before her crystal ball at a carnival or beachfront boardwalk. She's got a mysterious faraway accent, rings on every finger, etc. That's Marlene Dietrich and Dietrich. I don't know, in Touch of Evil. So I thought that was a nice convergence. There's another thing here that's important. She uses metaphysical a lot in ways where your university metaphysics class would say, that ain't metaphysics. But here's something that I love. Focusing on these pictures, the tarot cards, it's a pictorial system, she says. Focusing on these pictures, along with your question or questions, quote, allows your conscious mind to relax so you can find the answers you seek. Now, the first thing I think of is, and I wrote, stopping the psychomental flux. It's a term that I think I got from Mircea Eliade in his book on yoga, which is basically an explication, examination on tantric yoga, which has the which takes into account the cycles of yuga, the Kali Yuga, which is far more important than nihilism, but is nihilistic, and it has this wonderful idea of bringing down because we can no longer be good enough to go to the gods. We bring the gods down to us, and one way to do it is he uses this term resacralizing the mundane or profane, and there is in this book that same kind of acceptance of everything, which is something that I like very much. But throughout, the idea of, I don't know if she uses the word meditation, I can't remember, I think she might, but this here, that's central to ancient Hindu practices, which are the ones that make the most sense to me for thinking, and if I used it for, if I needed to meditate, and I probably should every day, but I don't. So she says, I use the words psychic and intuitive interchangeably a lot of the time. Um, the intuitive part fascinates me because that is, my version of the beginning of Hinduism is the sages, who were human beings who went out into the forest to understand the world, thinkers out in the forest, and that that is definitely a matter of trusting intuition and giving a sort of push even to intuition. So now, astrology, I went through it carefully enough to know what I would say. Oh, there was something about the importance of numbers. If your birthday is January 1st, 1911, your number would be 14. And 1 plus 4 equals 5. And, okay, I don't want to go into that because I didn't quite get it, because I couldn't figure out my own number. Because I have a 5/17, 1959. I got too many numbers, and I haven't been able to ask about that. So, but here's what I thought. Whether or not I agree with the interpretation, she says. Again, I underline that because, again and again, it's, I suppose you could call her some kind of an expert, but like a good Zen master, she probably would say, I have my own understanding and belief, and she kind of does get this across here several times, actually. This is the way I see it, and take it or leave it. And so then I got down to the what would be wonderful about if you really got into astrology would be making the charts. That would be making charts would be a lot of fun, interesting, and so on. But it reminded me of navigators, naturally, because I've taught maritime English. I've written advertisement, circumnavigation through maritime history. Underperforming. I don't think people understand how good it is and how fun it is. But eventually, they will. Yeah, they will. And so, here we go. On and on and on he talks. But this is fun for me. And that makes it more likely to be fun for you. And so what I was thinking about, the charts, and there are instruments you'd use, like you probably have to draw circles, so you would want one of those things that draws circles. What are they called? I can't remember. But it reminded me of navigational charts, which are still used, but in a different way. The instruments, these absolutely marvelous instruments to determine latitude and longitude and, magnetic north and as opposed to north and so on, which is as mysterious as astrology. I mean, is astrology real? I have no idea. I don't give a shit. But an astrologer will, I don't know, in India, they use astrology every day and for a ton of things. So that doesn't mean it's right. That doesn't mean it's true. But this is not why I'm talking about it, this stuff. I'm talking about it because it was something interesting for me to look into, and this is the right time. So I started thinking about, all of the things that you cannot know as a navigator. What is magnetism even? But magnetic north, and then you got swells versus waves. You got different winds. You got all kinds of surprises. And I thought, navigation as an art. Well, GPS is going to destroy the fun of it, but I don't think it's going to replace the need for it. If you're smart, you focus all your attention and energy and desire on the wish. This is the essence of magic. Now, that makes a great deal of sense as well, but, I understand too little to get this across other than to say what our author says. We are all that baby in the back seat being followed by the mysterious moon. She told the story. Lots of good, personal stuff peppered in. And, she talks about the first time she thought about the moon, and she was in the car with her parents. She was young. And I don't know if was she actually a baby? But she focused on the moon, and it kept following them, and it's a nice image, and she returns to that afterwards. Little tarot point: more cards does not mean more clarity. There are exercises in here, that you use, and this is one thing. He starts with tarot, and throughout tarot is used. If you go to the Moon Pluto Magic part of the book, you get please, I'm just looking for the table of contents. Tarot magic for emotional intensity. Ritual, devotion, and tarot magic for good habits. Real life magic, tarot and a spell for the long night. A tarot spread for the dead is part of the invisible world. So tarot is going all through it, as is astrology. There's a story about a fascinating story, the kind of story we've all read. And we can tolerate it if it's in the right place, like in the Arabian Nights, when something a little bit non-rational happens, we accept it. But here on earth, where the wind and rain, we're too skeptical. And I'm not saying anything except fuck reason and rational thought. It's destroying the world. So, I don't know if even the author would agree with me about that, but it helped bring me and the book together. And to my own, this book has set off so many different thoughts, and in a positive way, because I'm curious, and I'm not, reading this to see what's bullshit and what's not bullshit, which, I couldn't anyway, without actually, going deeply into everything in the book. And once I did that, I would be won over, because you can't keep going if you just don't believe it. You'd be you'd be trying to meditate, thinking, this is bullshit. Yeah, this is bullshit. Couldn't do it anyway, or maybe you could. Sometimes you want to answer a question and you use only one card. Of course, there's 78 cards, so you got, there's a lot of work to do to understand it. I just got my cards today. And so I opened them, but I've only looked at the first card because I think it's, this is kind of an important. I got the original Rider-Waite tarot deck, and designed by Pamela Coleman Smith, which makes a big difference. They're famous and they're lovely. Okay, now we get into the parts where, let's see, this is there's much space for speculation here. Are you an accidental medium too? and she tells a story about a friend who's an accidental medium. She happens to be channeling someone. Most of us don't believe in channeling. We don't think that's real. We don't think it's possible. I don't. I don't really care. You know, I don't know, and that's not why I'm reading the book. But she says concentrating, quote, not at all, end quote, is what I call tuning in, letting the mind go blank and lose focus. Again, with the intuitive um, ancient forest thinkers. Oh my God, I just reached. Sometimes I wonder if spirit guides really do exist. Other times I'm certain of it. Imagine if we lived our lives this way all the time, that we are never not connected. It's like forgetting to look up at the sky. We just have to remember it's there. There's a lot in that paragraph, and it's really getting too long. I'm at 35 minutes. But being able to quiet your mind, I underlined. Ambitious method for meeting the invisible world. Set aside 15 minutes any time of day when you have some quiet in your surroundings and can sit undisturbed. Set an intention that you are ready to receive information about spirit guides who are around you. Set an intention that the information may come through any of your senses, including smell and taste. Another thing that's lost. What we call synesthesia may actually not be synesthesia, but normal everyday life. You know, your spirit guide may tell you about a favorite food, for example, and you may smell it before you know what it is. Do this every day. Yes, every day for a full month. Okay, it goes on, but the why I underlined it is that it's so much like the practice of meditation that is so fundamental to being a Hindu and understanding Hinduism, and probably life in general. We really do need to quiet the mind. And now the final thing I want to say, I'm on altars. She writes about altars, but I didn't need altars to be described to me because I have always made altars. Um, uh, there's one of my altars right there, and you know it can